All right. Thank you very much, folks. We're thrilled to get into this next debate. As always, we're going to do a quick hand poll. So for our sponsor, Manifold, who we really appreciate, as it's the world's largest social prediction market. They're linked in the description box. If you're at home watching, you can vote on who will be the most persuasive speaker in this debate. How we determine that is based on a hand poll. If you happen to think that, hey, OnlyFans is bad for society, in other words, you agree with Alex Stein, would you slip your hand up? And then I want to let you know that at the end, we'll do the same vote. And if anybody has swayed people toward their position, that's how we'll determine who won the debate. If you happen to say, hey, actually, I don't think it is bad for society. In other words, OnlyFans isn't bad for society, and you agree with Jasmine, would you slip your hand up? Thank you. And then just remember, only vote at the end if you voted in the first one, okay? But we are thrilled to have our guests here. Jasmine, speaker, OnlyFans creator, and debater. I'm going to give them a chance to introduce themselves more in their opening statements, but I'll give you the brief. Alex Stein has asked me to let you know he is Tucker Carlson's stepson, as well as the biggest fan of big booty Latinas there is. I have to read these. They make me say these introductions. But Alex, the floor is yours for your 5-minute opening statement. Thanks for being with us.
Well, I just want to say thank you for everybody watching. Thank you guys for being here. Jasmine, especially thank you to you for being here. And I know you're used to getting humiliated, so let's do this thing. OnlyFans, is it good for society? Well, in theory, I think what Jasmine does is, in a way, believe it or not, admirable. It is. That she sacrifices her body and her soul so other guys can go online and crank it. That's very admirable. That's not admirable. That's gross. Every time you crank it, you look in the mirror and you're disgusted with yourself. And I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm not a sexual person. Listen, I got a beautiful girlfriend. I understand that human beings have carnal instincts and that somebody wants to see a naked woman and you're just basically giving them what they want. But this is why overall, when it comes to Jasmine personally is not a bad person. And even though Jasmine does OnlyFans, I don't think that makes you a bad person. But overall, OnlyFans for society is bad because a multitude of reasons. One is once you become an OnlyFans creator, as a woman, whether you're good looking or not, there's a very bad social stigma associated with that. Your parents are going to be frustrated. Your friends are going to be frustrated. People that you've known your whole life can now go online and for $5 see your butthole. This is going to cause you a social stigma in your friend groups, in your family. So for that, I don't think it's great. Also, the physical risks when it comes to having sex on camera. Now, I don't know if you have sex on your OnlyFans, but I'm just talking about in general. Having sex with random strangers, you know, there's a potential of STDs, there's a potential of AIDS. So just having unprotected sex is, you know, believe it or not, it is dangerous. And this is the thing. With OnlyFans, why is it bad for society? Personally, for me, the biggest reason is that you have young women that are 16, 17, that are thinking, how am I going to get a job? How am I going to make money? And you have creators like Jack Doherty that are getting 18-year-old girls. As soon as they become 18, they get them an OnlyFans, and yes, they show their boobs, and they make some money in the short term. That is correct. But they don't factor in the career limitations that it's going to cause them later on in life being naked on the internet. And it's not just something like an ex-boyfriend did revenge porn where that could happen and you could still, you know, your career probably wouldn't be too affected by that. But when you actually go out there and you post yourself naked, it's going to limit your career. The social stigma that's associated with it was terrible. Not just the physical health risks. A lot of OnlyFans creators, because of the pain that they have from doing this, oftentimes have addiction issues. Now, I'm not saying you have that, but there are a lot of, if you can look it up, a lot of adult film stars that die at early ages, believe it or not, done by suicide or drugs. So overall, this is why I think it's bad. I don't think, Jasmine, you are bad, but the idea of pornography, yes, humans want it, of course, but humans want heroin, humans want cocaine. That doesn't mean that it's good for you. yes, people want it, but inherently, when people are looking at it, when you're doing it, it's just overall, it's going to make you have more anxiety, more depression. It's going to disconnect you. Looking at porn disconnects you from your current relationship. Now, I know there's some freaks out there that's like, I'm a swinger. I like looking at porn with my wife. I think that that is the exception to the rule. Most people would argue that pornography affects relationships in a negative way, and I would argue that. So you're exploiting yourself. You're exploiting, really, society, because you have young people that are now encouraged to go spread their legs because we live in a society. I keep talking about societies where it's hard to get a job, and I get it, and that's why I think what you do, and I joked about it, admirable. It is admirable that you're working, at least. You know what I mean? I do agree with that, but just because you work on a stripper pole doesn't mean what you're doing is good. So with that, that's my time.
Thank you very much for that opening, Alex. We'll kick it over to Jasmine for her opening as well. The floor is all yours.
Perfect. So yeah, thank you for everyone for being here. Thank you, Alex. I'm just going to go through some of the points he made. So this idea that it's bad because there's a social stigma. I think one of the reasons that people are so upset with OnlyFans is that social stigma is decreasing, right? You hear, I even watched this video with Matt Walsh the other day talking about how the problem with OnlyFans is that, yeah, now we're buying houses next to A-list celebrities. Nobody's spitting on us as we walk down the street. We're not doing it in the shadows that people want us to be in. And now, like, I hate to tell you, when I go around in my normal life, it's outside of like user 227 on the internet, no one says anything rude to me. Everybody's nice to me. A lot of people are supportive. My friends are supportive. I have a great relationship with my family. I have a partner. Like, it just doesn't have that effect, and I think some people want it to, and that's actually one of the reasons that people are more upset over OnlyFans, and that's why we've had the proliferation of like red pill podcasts. I think it's financial envy, and it's envy at these women that are able to break the rules that we've had for so long and use their sex appeal, monetize off of it, and not get that social stigma that they want us to have. Two, the rise of STDs. I think another big thing about OnlyFans is a lot of us are doing it from our rooms. This isn't mainstream pornography. I just have sex with my partner, and that's what I post. I don't do scenes with other people, and I think a lot of girls, a lot of like the big ones, I think like Amaranth, these people, they only do solo content. Mm-hmm. And so, and his point as to like, oh, young girls want to do this. I think it's important to explain the risks to those young women. I'm not somebody that says when you're 18, you should go do anything that could have lifelong consequences that you don't understand. I also don't think you should get married at 18. Divorce rates are way higher if you get married before 25. So I'm all for telling young people or explaining the risks and educating people about the consequences of this. And I guess I'm a little curious. Are you just really worried about the consequences to the people that are doing the job? Because if you're like, oh, there's more depression and drug use. For those who don't know, I'm also a licensed attorney, and we have such high rates of suicide, depression, drug use, et cetera. At that point, would you say it's bad to be a lawyer because you could have these negative consequences? I guess you could, but then you shouldn't just look at some of the unhappiest professions, almost all of the ones that you're in a cubicle or office, and say that these things are now bad for society because the people that do it have higher rates of these negative things. And I actually think out of all the types of porn on the internet, OnlyFans is the best. It is the safest. Everyone's verified. You do need a credit card to get in, so that also deters young people. It's very hard for young people to access OnlyFans because it is behind a paywall as opposed to other forms of pornography. And as to the point of whether it causes harm, I mean, yeah, that's why it's like a weird question, like donuts, alcohol, pizza, but we don't want to live in a society where Taco Bell and alcohol and things are banned because it's bad for society. In fact, those things have a lot more concrete harm, like guns and things like this. Like the hours of TV you watch are literally linked to how likely you are to be obese, whereas with porn, we don't find that. We find the number one predictor of having issues with porn. There was a big meta-analysis done on it. Joshua Grubbs was the main researcher, where they find moral incongruence is the number one predictor of you having issues with porn, right? How much that violates your personal values, if you're religious and you have some issue with porn, yeah, you shouldn't watch it. If you're religious and you don't like it, don't watch it. But I don't think that the vast majority of people, and we actually don't have data indicating the vast majority of people have a problem with this, which is why it's been rejected by the medical community and the DSM-5 year after year. And yeah, I think I'll leave it there.
Thank you very much. We'll jump into the open dialogue.
Okay, Jasmine, one thing you said that I want to kind of go back to a little bit. You talk about the risk, but for me, I think one of the riskiest things that you compared pornography to donuts, which I think is very cute. But if you type your name in on Twitter, if you type in Jasmine, you just type her name in.
Do it, guys.
Well, I would not recommend doing that. She has these huge, big breasts. They don't even look. They're like size G. They're very weird looking. But whatever.
Amazing.
What I'm saying is, do you think anybody under the age of 18 has ever found your content?
Yes, probably.
So do you think that's good for society, for children to be looking at naked pictures of
No,
you?
but I also think that there are people under 18 who have seen rated R movies. I think there are people under 18
Is
who've
a
had
rated R movie the same as pornography?
alcohol. Let's look at alcohol.
Oh,
Having
okay,
alcohol
I know.
available to adults.
So what's worse, underage drinking or sexual exploitation of a child?
Underage drinking, for sure. If you want to look at concrete
Wait, you think what's worse for society is children getting exposed to sex or drinking? You think
I
drinking's
think
worse?
that if we're actually looking at concrete harms to society, underage drinking.
Yeah, I'll
actually
agree
leads
that
to-
you can't overdose from looking at porn, but I'm saying child sexual exploitation is worse than a
No,
DUI.
what do you mean by exploitation? So like someone
So a
going, so a
kid looking
kid
at
going on Twitter,
pornography-
a kid going on Twitter and seeing a pair of tits versus
Saying
underage
more than
drinking.
tits, you're having sex, you're doing more than tits. But I'm just saying, she even admits that she's a professional whore, admits that children have seen her content, and she hand waves it like, oh, that's no big deal. Drinking's worse than that. So
No,
you're
my point
basically
is we don't want to
excusing
create a
child
society
pornography.
where we outlaw everything that we don't want kids to see. Because that means we don't have alcohol. That means we don't have rated R film. That means we don't have certain books. Are we supposed to make our entire society, whatever's not suitable for children, also not suitable for adults? I actually think there should be age verification put on the device. So when you get a device, and there's there's like government leaders now who are very on board with this, where they're like, okay, when you get an iPhone or you get a laptop and you're signing up with your whatever Apple ID, that's where age verification should happen, and that should not have access to porn and those types of things. But also, we're talking about OnlyFans too, right?
Yes.
And OnlyFans is behind a paywall.
Yeah.
So out
But
of all
people
the
can
forms
leak
of
it
porn,
behind the paywall, you know that.
of course, people can get a fake ID and go buy alcohol too. But the whole point is, if we're looking at the forms of porn that are available, and actually the ones that are compliant are the ones that are helping curb child exploitation, right? That's why with the passage of Sesta Fosta under Trump, the U.S. Department of Justice, as well as anti-trafficking organizations, were like, don't take down Backpage, don't do this, because they're the ones actually cooperating with police, whereas these weird Russian sites that people can access aren't cooperating in the same way, right?
Well, in theory, that sounds okay, but I mean, in reality, kids can see it. But like, I get this accusation all the time. People are like, Alex, you just do stuff for clicks on the internet. And you know what I tell them? I tell them, no shit. I'm in the business of getting clicks on the internet. I mean, what do you think this is? You think I make a podcast so nobody can watch it? You think I make content so nobody can watch it? I want people to watch my stuff. Yes, that's why I grind. That's why I go edit. That's why I confront people. I want people to see my content. That's no secret. Is that the same for you as an OnlyFans creator? Do you like it if more people see your content?
Depends on the type of content. Obviously, I don't want children accessing certain kinds of content, but also banning it or even socially stigmatizing it. The states that watch the most porn are conservative. The countries that ban porn, Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, these are some of the #1 biggest consumers of porn. So banning it and restricting it doesn't even curb demand. It actually seems that repressive sex policies and social sentiments increase the demand for this type of content.
So you're saying it's okay if children see your porn as long as other people see it too?
No, actually, my children.
I'm just saying because
I mean, if you're, I don't know if you're a fan of Elon Musk. If you want Elon Musk to make it harder to access the porn, so that's why my Twitter is pretty much shadow banned. You have to go looking for it. Yes, if
but
go
you don't have
looking
to
for
actually
it.
look up your actual Twitter to find your content, though.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
there's
I'm just saying if you just search Jasmine, and I'm not like.
And you should.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying. You know what I mean?
Everyone here, I hope, is over.
Well, but Jasmine, I'm not even saying. I'm just saying it's like other people sharing your stuff. You know what I mean? Like
those leaks help us.
Yeah,
That's why we
exactly.
let them-
And there's actually a lot of AstroTurf campaigns that look like real posts on Twitter that are really just ads for people.
So is your argument that because children can see, we should ban it? Like, what is the actual argument? So
Yes, I think the less porn that we have, that means less children are going to see it. So now with the technology that we have, any girl with an iPhone at 18 years old can go on this website. And that's the other thing. It's like these 18-year-old girls that are kind of near the age range of younger boys, 12, 13, 14, 15. So these are the boys that are going and looking specifically at the Jack Doherty type of content. So I'm not calling you a pedophile. I don't think you are. I'm just saying that She might be a whore, but not a pedophile, and I mean that with all due respect. But because of what you do, it's just more possible and especially more likely that young people are going to figure out how to see it, so more young kids are going to get exposed to it. Now, is that really your problem that a kid sees it? I don't know, but I think that you could solve that problem by not being naked on the internet.
So would you be logically consistent then when it comes to other harms? Like obesity is one of the number one issues we're facing as a nation. Would you ban McDonald's because then it makes it harder for children to access McDonald's?
No, because I don't think you can sexually abuse a kid by giving him McDonald's, but you can sexually abuse a kid by showing them explicit images underage.
So how am I sexually abusing children?
Well, accidentally you are, because you're exposing kids to sex, and now they're going to get their, and listen.
How would you propose we stop exposing kids to sex? I mean,
you don't show your pussy on the internet.
no, so I mean,
That's it.
Would you say that then we should ban porn entirely so that kids?
I mean,
and do you think that would help? Because you think kids in Saudi Arabia or kids in South Korea where porn is banned, that this actually stopping them from watching it? Because I can guarantee you it's not.
If you're just asking my opinion, in theory, yes, the world would be a better place without pornography.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, the world would be a better place without donuts as well. Maybe if we're looking at overall.
But we're comparing food to sex. It's just a little different.
What would you like? Guns? What would you like?
Processed foods?
I don't want to ban guns either. I think one of the best parts about living in America is we've decided that even when there are certain harms associated or there are certain risks associated with certain activities, we don't want to restrict those. We don't want to live in a paternalistic society where we come down and say, especially because we don't want this for children, nobody can do it.
Well, I like that you mentioned
I don't want to live in Disneyland.
Paternalistic societies. What do your parents think about your OnlyFans career, if you don't mind me asking?
My parents don't love the career, but we still have a great relationship, and they love me.
I know, but think about this, Jasmine. You're a smart young woman. You're an attorney. You're attractive. I'm sure you wouldn't have trouble finding a mate. And your parents can see the same things that I see, and they're probably disappointed because they see a smart young lady, and they know that you're on the internet for $5.99 spreading your butthole.
I don't believe
and there's no way a dad would ever be proud. Would you want your own kids to go into OnlyFans?
I wouldn't mind. No, I really wouldn't. I want my children to, if my child is as happy and fucking fulfilled and rich as me, I'm all good.
Does money solve all your problems?
No, but at least one
Puff
of
Daddy
the
said it best: more money, more problems.
I don't think that's true at all. I gotta tell you. But I'm not saying money's the only thing that right, like the amount of freedom, the ability to go pursue the things that make me happy, personal relationships. You know how nice it is to be under 30 and not have an alarm clock waking me up? For you to pretend that my life is somehow miserable, right? Versus my parents come visit me all the time. Yeah, they don't agree with what I want to do, but there are parents who don't want their children to be gay. There are parents who don't want, my parents are Persian. They would have been mad if they wanted a lawyer, doctor, engineer. I mean, to live your life as an extension of your parents is not a good way to
I disagree.
achieve self-actualization.
I mean, your parents did get you here. I think that we should honor our parents. I'm not saying we have to be identical to our parents, but I do think it is important to honor our parents. But listen, we don't have to get into the parents stuff.
I mean,
your parents don't like it.
Wouldn't you, of all people, know that sometimes your family members wouldn't be a great person to try to make proud?
Well, listen, let me just tell you this. When we talk about family, we just know that your parents we can just agree that your parents really don't like it and that they wanted something more for you. So this is my kind of overarching point, is that I agree. Your dad has probably looked at another person's OnlyFans, I don't know this, and didn't have any sort of guilt or shame. But when he sees yours, he does have that guilt or shame. So my point is, there's more dads that are going through this guilt and shame process. They still love their daughter. They're still happy that they had a daughter. But because there's so much access to be able to just become an online porn star, there's more parents out there that are disappointed in their daughter.
But I'm saying, why does it matter what what if a parent has guilt and shame because their white daughter is dating a black man? Do we care?
Well, I mean,
that's my point.
I just think it's a little different spreading your
Well, because it's
butthole
because of
dating a
you.
black guy.
That's my point. But if your overarching claim is just that whatever your parents want is what's best for you to do, then you have to stay consistent on it, not just when the parent agrees with you.
If OnlyFans is good, then why are your parents disappointed in you?
My parents would also be disappointed in me if I married somebody that they didn't approve of. My parents would also, you know what my parents would be really disappointed in me on? If I got a tattoo. There's certain things.
Do you honestly believe that your dad would choose you doing OnlyFans over getting a a
My dad,
tattoo?
yeah, he hates tattoos and he thinks they're like indicative of like
Well,
meth
okay,
addiction.
that-
But that's,
logically, that doesn't make sense. But
I agree. That logically doesn't make any sense. I also don't think that it's fair when parents don't want their children to be in a same-sex relationship. I don't think you should live your life in accordance with your parents' values. I think you should live life in accordance with yours. And there are a lot of people, like sometimes your parents aren't the best person to please, right? You should know that more than anyone based on your family history. I'm not trying to get into that. You kind of went into
I don't even know what my family history is. What,
Is it your grandmother shoot up a school?
No, she didn't. Actually, it was a self-defense, and it was dismissed. It's so funny you bring
Okay.
up my grandmother.
Right.
So you bring it up.
I
but
mean, wouldn't
you're
that
a
be a
dirty
cause
whore.
for-
No. It's just funny because she thinks it's so cute talking about my grandmother. Yeah, your
I
dad,
didn't bring it up.
I know. No,
You
but
brought-
your
you
dad,
brought up my
your dad
parents.
is ashamed of you because you're a whore on the internet that spreads
He's
her
not.
legs, and that's all you are
He's
because
not.
you have
We
no
text every
talent.
day.
You're
We're
a pathetic
super-
individual,
we're
and that's
super
what's
close.
sad in this society is that now we're encouraging young girls that are talentless to go and spread their butthole, and then they think, oh, this is good for society because I make a lot of money. Well, let me tell you something. You're a cancer to the world that we live in, and you're a disgusting person that is only worth $5. That is your
I'm
value.
sorry that you feel that way.
Well,
but
you're
again,
a sex worker
you're-
and a prostitute. So when you were a little girl, did you think, when I grow up, I want to be a prostitute,
when I was a little
Daddy?
girl, I thought I want to make a ton of money and be able to travel and live my life, and that's
And
exactly
be a
what
whore
I've done.
and be a
I'm
prostitute
also
and be
very
a sex-
educated. I'm talentless, right? Passed
Yeah.
the bar the first time, got a full ride scholarship to a
And
top
you're
law
using
school.
that law degree really well now. being a
Actually,
whore
I
on the
can
internet.
because
Yeah.
instead of going into the private, because you know what I was doing before, I was helping rich people avoid paying estate tax. Was that a better use
Yes,
of my,
yes,
Okay, all right.
yeah.
If you guys want to,
Yeah, your dad.
If you
was
want
your-
to say that,
Was your dad proud of that?
my dad, yeah, he did.
Yeah, and is he
He's
proud
so
of
proud
your
of
new
me.
job?
I'm sorry, we have a great relationship. If your whole argument hinges on how well my relationship with my dad is, then that's not really a good argument because we're extremely close.
It's just a good indication of whether or not what you're doing is moral or immoral. And
He
what
probably
you're doing
thinks
is
it's
immoral.
weird that I'm
Yeah.
sitting here debating you. He's like, why would you talk to this guy? Doesn't mean I shouldn't do it.
Yes, but
He'd be like, this man
you're
is
literally
insane. What are you doing with your time?
spreading your legs. I mean, it's just the lowest common
Yeah, I understand
denominator. I mean, it's the
you
lowest
don't
form
like
of
it. I
content.
understand it makes you
No,
feel
it's bad
yucky,
for
but-
society because what you're doing,
Okay,
little
tell me
kids,
why it's bad for society.
because kids are seeing this. So,
So
you're
is your only
basically-
argument, do you have anything, because we can go down the kid route, but
the
I just want to know
social
what else.
stigma surrounding it ruins your life later on. Job opportunities are going to be wasted. So a young person doing it, yeah, it has repercussions that are major.
So if the social stigma were to decline, which it is, right? There was a time where people said gay people shouldn't adopt kids because their kids are going to get bullied in school. Depending on where you are and what, I guess, the social norms are of your society, we see that that is not happening at the rates that people said it was. So would then you be, that's my question. I feel like a lot of the issues you have with it are just coping, because I don't think that
No,
if,
I'm not, it's
so
not
if so if the
coping.
social
What about
stigma
this?
was
How about
decreased, would
this?
you say it's
Hey,
better?
no, we'll see how big of a whore she is. How about this? How many married guys or guys that are in relationships message you?
I don't know. They don't usually. I do have a lot of couples. I do have a ton of couples.
But I'm just saying, probably guys are probably, cheating in a way on their wives or girlfriends
So
with
why
your
not?
content.
Why
right?
not? Why not? If your whole idea is we should not have lust or temptation.
That's not my
available
idea.
to
That's
men.
not my idea. I'm just saying you're causing relationships to.
Well, that's my
have
point.
Problems,
So
aren't you?
in Saudi Arabia, they think women showing their hair is causing relationships because you're tempting the man. Wearing shorts is tempting. Is that really how you want to keep relationships together?
No,
Is to
actually,
have
I wouldn't mind
no-
Sharia law. If women couldn't drive, that'd probably be less car
I
accidents.
know, maybe you would.
There are some stuff that I could vibe with, but listen, Jasmine, you seem like a nice person, but you're a smart person too, and you know what you're doing. That it sounds fun, but I would imagine when you really look in the mirror that you have stress and anxiety, and that your life is not just lollipops and candy canes.
I mean, is that falsifiable? Because I think I'm more attuned to what my internal state is like, and I can tell you that's just not the case, right? I've been here for 3 days. I love the theater. I love the arts. I've been to front row on Broadway every night, Michelin star dinners every night. Where exactly, with my partner, who I love and respect, who loves and respects me,
Well, you
where
keep saying
exactly
partner.
is this misery?
Are you lesbian?
No, he's a guy. Why can't I say partner?
I mean, I just thought that was a gay term. I swear, I thought you say partner is a gay term. What do I know?
This idea that we're just dealing with misery. I texted my parents, FaceTimed them this morning. I'm right after flying
Do you
to my best
FaceTime them
friend's
when you're at work?
No, I mean, this is a weird argument. People say because you wouldn't do. I don't cuss in front of my parents either. I'm not ashamed of cussing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, it's just. Listen, Jazz. I was really focused for this debate, and then I Googled your name, and your boobs are so fucking weird that...
Yeah, is that all you have? Everyone go look at them, because they're doing pretty well.
They just hang so low. Like
they don't at all,
like
especially
bags,
for the size.
Kind of almost like a cat nursing when they walk. But it's not about that. My point is...
if you want to talk about my boobs the rest of this, I am perfectly...
No, I'm saying I shouldn't be able to see your boobs. I shouldn't be able to just type it in.
I know they really distracted you.
And now I'm seeing your vagina and pussy everywhere, and I'm sure kids do the same thing. So that is why this is bad,
No, I don't think
Jasmine.
kids. I think you just like them.
No, I'm just saying... People are seeing it. Kids are seeing it.
I know it's really got you flustered.
And that's just what you do for a living.
I know it's really got you flustered. I understand that.
No, I'm not flustered, but I just feel like you're disconnected with reality, and you know that a lot of porn
I think I disconnected you from reality after you watched that. You seem like you're in a trance.
I'm shell shocked a little bit because I thought you were transgender, and then I realized that.
Yeah, I'm definitely transgender.
You're not. They're not. Those are natural saggies.
What made you think I'm transgender?
I don't know. The way you spelled Jasmine. At first, I thought you were trans.
That's definitely. Okay.
I didn't look into you, and then I looked into you, and I saw too much. So my point is, you can't even search your damn name on Twitter without your big, gross boobs all over my damn feed. That's not good, Jasmine. You want something better for yourself. You want something.
No, I don't, though.
You don't. You really don't want anything better for yourself.
What's better? What's better?
Like you're doing working people doing taxes.
Helping people avoid.
Yes.
Millionaires avoid paying taxes.
That's better than brainwashing children, ruining relationships. And this is the other thing. Because you're being a whore for money, you're going to waste your money because if you don't work hard for it, people tend to waste it. So because now that you feel like you found some cheat or some hack, that's where you're like, oh, I make all this money. But let me tell you something. You're not a fine wine. You're not going to get better with age. You're probably going to get grosser, and all the money that you're making now is only going to go down. So this is a career with a short
I think
shelf.
that's actually. I think we should be telling young girls to be smart with their money when they're making a lot of money. That's true. So that's why
you're talking about going to Broadway and eating Wagyu steaks.
I make enough money to do both.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. Plus, also my parents are pretty well off, and I got a good inheritance. So what is exactly your issue? Like it's just
well,
like, oh no, I'm so worried about your financial status in 10 years. Oh no, I'm so. What are you worried about? For me?
I'm worried about young children seeing you naked everywhere. I'm worried about the sexual addiction that you're causing men to have.
Okay, let's talk about that. Sexual addiction.
Like sex, porn addiction. Yeah, that's very bad.
So let's talk about porn addiction. What and how prevalent do you think it is? How much of a real medic? Because I
would say it's very bad, especially in young kids.
Where are you getting that?
Well, listen, we can pull up stats, but more young kids are having problems.
I think
real quick, more young kids are having problems with impotency because of pornography now than we've had in the past.
And where are you getting that?
Okay, let me pull it up. Like this is the thing. This is a fact. We know that we hear more issues of male impotency.
on Reddit.
Well, that's why.
Where?
That's why every commercial is a Blue Chew. Every commercial, get a boner. That's because people can't have boners because they're sexually disconnected.
Yeah, and so actually the rise in ED. So there's
they're
really
watching
good
whores like you on the internet do all kinds of weird sex. So then when they finally get to have sex, they have a unreal expectation of what sex is like. So you're making them brainwashed.
Actually, there was a study done on OnlyFans where they actually showed that OnlyFans, because people actually come on and ask questions and get better education than porn, that it was actually improving the amount of education they had and the amount of knowledge they had on sex. Like I try to make
more
a lot
knowledge
of
on it, but that
no, like good knowledge.
Just because they have more knowledge on it doesn't mean that
no,
their boners
that
are
is
not
good. That is
affected
good.
by
Like when men want to learn about, okay, how do I actually please a woman? What about clitoral stimulation? Because if you just go on Pornhub and watch 8 men gangbang with 10-inch cocks and young boys think this is how sex works or this is what women like, that's not good.
Well, it's funny that she brought up Pornhub because let's talk about it. Even though OnlyFans is not Pornhub, I know they are mutually exclusive, or I mean, even though they both have porn, they are totally different. But in Pornhub, in states like Texas, where they require an age verification, like you suggested earlier, guess what Pornhub does? They just shut the whole website down.
No, so you're incorrect. So Pornhub actually agrees with my position that the age verification should be done on the device. Not that everybody should have to put in their ID. There's also all of the social media companies are fighting against this. Instagram, Elon Musk, none of them want this, and it has First Amendment issues that are being heard at the moment.
What I'm saying is, when they put in the age verification, because of these rules in Texas, they stopped. And the reason why they needed to have an age verification on these porn sites because so many kids were watching it and people were uploading child porn to it. So my point is, what does Pornhub do? You don't think there's ever been child porn on Pornhub?
I don't think there's never been, but that's why they had a whole change now, because I also upload on Pornhub. And the amount you guys, if I were to take a video of myself right now and your hand was in it, they would immediately take it down and make you send in your ID, make you send in a consent form. It is not easy. It's actually really hard for us to ever get other people on our thing because they take your biometrics, like everything, to upload content onto OnlyFans, and Pornhub is pretty hard to upload content onto. It takes a long time for your content
following
to
a
even
New York
get
Times
approved.
opinion piece in December 2020 by Nicholas Kristof, the children of Pornhub, it was reported that Pornhub had videos that included content of minors, non-consensual content, and other forms of exploitative
Yes, so
material.
listen. So after that is when they deleted 75% of what they had on Pornhub.
Think about how much child porn's on there.
No,
So
not
you're on a
because
child
all of
porn
that was
website. So think
child
about that.
porn.
You're such a good human being. You're on the same website with child porn.
That's
like,
not
no
true.
wonder
So
your
they
dad
changed
is
that.
ashamed of your job because you're basically a child pornographer
Okay,
or
is this
adjacent
your-
to it.
so-
No, but we talk about this. So what did Pornhub do? They don't even let you look at Pornhub in these states because they're so mad that they're trying to limit child porn on their own website. So I'm just saying these people are evil.
No, it's 'cause
and all
they-
pornography is evil.
Because
It's-
unlike you, they care about us and our civil liberties, and once the government takes away a right, they don't like to give it back. So if we start creating a precedent where now every single time you want to watch porn, or every single time you want to go on Facebook or Instagram, because these laws are trying to go through all of that.
These laws
you
are
need
trying to
put
protect
in,
children
if you guys
from
want to
seeing
put in your
porn, and what do the
ID
porn
every
companies
single
do?
time
They
you go on
stop
Facebook,
having
go
porn
for
in
it.
those states. I'm just saying. So they're
And you know what happened?
obviously
And you know what
child porn
happened?
being on the
Everyone
web-
just
being
started.
on
Did
their
you see
website's
the VPN?
important.
Did you see the? It doesn't work. It didn't
Well, of
work.
course-
Everyone's
of
just using
course there's
VPNs,
ways
or
around
they're
it,
going
yeah.
to the non-compliant sites. That's the problem with the internet. Is what you can do is you can try to restrict things, and then the sites that are compliant will comply, but then the other sites, the sketchy sites from all over the world, won't, and that's what brings these exploitation and trafficking and stuff more underground and difficult to actually investigate because those sites are not cooperating with law enforcement, which is why even the U.S. Department of Justice was against taking down something like Backpage for that reason, because it made it harder to investigate these actual cases. So if you're trying to help these children or abuse children, this is not the way.
Well, I mean, you admitted that children have seen your content before.
What does that have to do?
Well, I'm just saying. So you make content, and kids are going to see it. So you're a child pornographer.
Okay, so
in a way.
let's
I
say a child. Okay, is it?
I'm just saying. You admit that they've seen it. You admit kids underage have seen you naked, have seen your
I
pornography.
think that every
and
child
you just hand-wave like
every
that's not a big
child,
deal.
every person underage that has seen me naked has seen other people naked as well. And if I did not exist, their life would not have changed in any meaningful way.
Okay,
Right?
that's a cope.
I don't
okay,
think
you're
I
just
don't think a
coping with
four,
the
and I
fact that
also I'm going to
children
be
are
honest,
looking
a
at it.
14-year-old seeing a pair of tits is not the biggest issue that a kid has. In
Okay,
today's
clip
day.
that. She wants to show porn to 14-year-olds.
Yeah, clip
this
it.
is, guys, this is what porn brain does to you, and it causes this like dopamine, serotonin thing in your head where she feels like what she's doing is right and that it's totally okay. Yet she admits her own parents are ashamed of her. The fact that she says, "Oh, well, I don't have to work hard," that's not true. You actually have to work very hard. You have to get fucked on camera, and yeah, you don't have to do it like a 9 to 5.
best job ever.
Well, I'm just saying, it's not. There is pressure to continue to make new content, so you do have some pressures. It's not
I don't
just
need
like you don't
to
have to
be
do
pressured
anything.
into having
You
sex.
you have
Maybe
to
your wife
ans-
does, but
you have to answer. Well, it's funny because I'm not married.
I like
but
having
I'm-
sex with
I'm
my
not
partner.
married.
It's not.
No, but my point is
not a
that
low
I
part
know
of
because
my
that's
day.
all you can do is have sex because you're a whore.
No,
You
I could
can't
do many
anything
things,
talented.
right? I
Yeah.
have a whole degree and a license to do other things. I want to do this, and I think that bothers you.
No,
is
it
I
doesn't
want to
bother
do
me.
this. Yeah.
It doesn't bother me at all. Honestly, I don't care that you're a whore. I'm just saying it's not good for
You seem to
society. Is
care.
why I don't care that you're a whore and that you turn tricks for money.
I
like
think
a
it's
prostitute.
neutral, right? Like
I'm just saying
TV
for
linking
society,
to obesity
I'm talking
doesn't mean TV is evil. TV is neutral, but it can be a risk if you watch too much of it, especially if there are other comorbidities like there is with porn addiction. It's
Well,
the only representative sample we have of people addicted to porn
Well,
is
you
less
say
than 4% of men, and they are highly overlapped with anxiety, depression, a bunch of other things. So I agree. Video games, all these things, you should get out, touch grass. Right? And on my own OnlyFans, if I see somebody that's obsessed, that's trying to buy content every day, I have a limit. I don't let them buy anymore because I'm like, this is now showing me signs that this is unhealthy. But the vast majority of people, just like a lot of people, can enjoy a drink on a Friday night after a week of work with their buddies, and that doesn't seem to negatively impact them. Although some people get addicted to alcohol, they get DUIs, they get alcohol poisoning, they die, they destroy their families. I don't think that makes alcohol evil. And I don't think it makes allowing alcohol bad for society, because I think a restrictive society where we get rid of all of anything that could potentially be damaging or anything that could potentially get into the hands of children, I don't want to live in those societies. And if you can name one that seems fun to live in that restricts all these things, let me know.
Heaven.
All right, go there.
Well, you're not going. Listen, this is not a personal attack. I think I have done some ad hominem attacks. I apologize, Jazz. It seems like you're doing great, and that every young girl should become a whore for $5. Is that what you want? You want more girls?
No, but I don't
being
think
a
every
whore?
young girl should also be an astrophysicist or a lawyer. I think that we should have people should go pursue whatever path they want. Now, for some people, OnlyFans is a great path for them, and for some people, it isn't.
Well, let's just go through a couple things that Jasmine pointed out. That she doesn't care and wants 14-year-olds to see her on the internet naked. And she wouldn't care that if her daughter did porn. So those two things just show me how disconnected you are with reality.
When did I say I want 14-year-olds to see it?
Well, you said you don't care.
I didn't say I don't care.
Yes, you did.
When did I say that? When did I say I don't
well,
care?
We'll clip it. It'll be on the Twitter. You basically
I said
saying
it's not
okay.
it's not a 14-year-old seeing boobs, which I think even you at 14 and most of the gentlemen here by 14 probably have seen pair of tits. If that has really destroyed your life, I'm sorry, but you are not the majority.
Are you just showing your tits?
What do you mean?
Like, are you just showing your boobs, or are you
On
getting
OnlyFans?
Are you getting hardcore penetrated?
On Twitter, my promo clips have like a 3-second thing. Again, you can go lobby.
I know, but you're
eat
saying,
on
oh, it's okay if a 14-year-old. You're trying to say, oh, it's no big deal if a 14-year-old sees boobs. Well, they're seeing more than boobs, honey. They're seeing hardcore sex. So let's be honest.
Listen, like I said, I am all for doing what we can to restrict this content to be away from children. But you want to just ban it. You don't want adults to see it either. Are you okay with it? Okay, let's just start there. Are you okay with adults watching pornography?
I don't think for society it's beneficial. No, I think
Okay,
it
so
actually
even
hurts
if we were
society.
to get it out of the hands of all children, you still be against it. So I don't know why you, like, this is the point. A lot of times when these people say like, oh, I'm against pornography, and then you actually go to why, they just make up things. Oh, it's because your children are going to get bullied. Such a random.
No, I didn't say.
No,
anything.
but I'm saying
but
people
your
say
kids
that.
are going to be bullied. You know, think about the social stigma of your
First
kids.
of all, I
going
don't
to
have
school.
children. My
I know, but
hypothetical children in
if
50
you
years.
ever
Are you
have
really worried
kids-
about them? What do you do for neglected children today? You do nothing. That's my point.
Well, I
is
rescue
that,
cats,
and also,
so
like,
I do
children
it.
get bullied
I
for
help
being
cats.
black in an all-white school. I got bullied because I brought Persian. Living our life to the whims of high school bullies is not something that you guys ever recommend we do unless it comes to this, right? It's always, oh no, we just care about the children. But then I ask you, okay, what about adults? Oh no, they shouldn't use it either. So just tell me what your actual issue is and what we could actually fix about it. Because if you want us to keep it away from children, then even if that happened, you'd still be against it.
If
So
you
tell
want
me.
if you want my real issue with it, it's because I'm a little older than you. I'm not that much older, but there was a time and place when I was young, and you had a Playboy magazine. And in a Playboy magazine, that was like the industry standard for pornography. And in this Playboy magazine, there was no penetration. There was nothing hardcore about it. It was just a beautiful woman naked. And it was great. And you know what?
Wait, why is that okay?
Well, first of all,
Is
tell you
that
the
good for
difference.
society?
Well, let me just say this. And now, from that Playboy picture of, Jenny McCarthy or Pamela Anderson, now it's gone to, you have people that are going viral like Lily Phillips for having sex with 1,000 guys in one day on camera. So you can just see how the sexual degeneracy has exponentially exploded, and the trajectory that we're on for society, where girls are getting paid to bang 1,000 guys in one day and get a bunch of internet clout, it's making our society worse.
But that's my point. Is she's just doing something extreme? There's someone who tried to beat the World Guinness Book record of the most tattoos, and they tattooed their cornea. That doesn't mean tattoos are bad or that it's
Yeah, but I never
the
heard
standard
of that
of
guy.
somebody.
But every single person talked about how she banged 1,000 guys.
Yeah, because you guys are really obsessed with sex, and that's you clearly
because
from looking at my
the world's biggest whore. I mean, people are gonna be like, "Wow,
It's a viral
that's
moment.
so,
It'll probably fly
that's
under
sad
the
that
radar
she
at
had
some
to do
point.
that, bang 1,000 guys."
I don't think she had to. She didn't have to. She was doing fine. That's what she
minutes
wanted.
to Q&A.
Well, I mean, listen. At the end of the day, you want me to try to say that pornography should be totally outlawed. I think society would be better if we did not have porn like that. I think our connections with our relationships.
And what society that has outlawed porn works better than ours, even just with respect to how much porn they
This
do?
is the thing, is if I'm being intellectually honest, even if there was a government ban on pornography, it would still exist, just like drugs or heroin, even though it's outlawed.
But it's
still
easier
gonna,
because it's
it's
the
still going to
internet.
exist. So I'm living in a world where it will never theoretically go away, but if there's laws in place to make it less, that would make our society
Okay, so
better.
tell me a place, because there's a lot of countries that have banned porn, and there's a lot of, even within our country, like conservatives tend to be more anti-porn. They watch more of it. What have you seen that's been successful in this
I think the
regard when it
United Arab
comes to
Emirates is incredibly successful safety-wise. I think they have like some of the highest safety standards in the world. So, I mean, would that make it more, them not having porn, does that make it a safer society?
Well, that's my point, is they ban porn, but you don't know how many messages I get every day from people in Dubai that are trying to, they're probably among the worst for in-person and online.
Because they have a social stigma, they kind of have to do it in the dark. And I said there will always be a black market for it.
Have you been there? They don't really do it in the dark.
Well, I'm just saying there's always going to be a black market for something, even if it's, a law is against it. I think we know that, whether it's drugs or porn. So, yeah, a country can outlaw it. It's still going to exist. And as a matter of fact, people like you are just going to make porn themselves and share it.
Not only
to
that,
their
but it
friends.
would also be a violation of the First Amendment to just completely outlaw
Okay,
porn.
but since we got to wrap things up, this is, I guess, where it's frustrated. Jasmine, I think you actually are a nice person. I think you're a smart person. But I think that you're being intellectually dishonest when you sit here and you act like OnlyFans or pornography does not have a negative impact on society. I know that you're going to just say that your life is perfect, but that is impossible. Nobody here has a perfect life, even if you have more money. That's what I'm saying. So I would say that you trying to go around and say my life's perfect, that means your life's the opposite of that. And I think that doing the porn is probably causing you more issues than you like to say. And listen, that's just my speculation. That's just what I think. Could I be wrong? Yes. But overall, the girls that I hear about that go into OnlyFans, that don't make money, that get embarrassed, the social stigma, the career repercussions that they have, overall, there are more negatives than benefits when it comes to OnlyFans for society.
Well, one, I never said that my life was perfect. I just said I don't look in the mirror in the morning with this utmost shame and just have this horrible life, right? You're going to the
Have you ever done anything you're ashamed of on OnlyFans?
Not on OnlyFans, no.
Okay.
Right, the things that make me ashamed are if I like lash out at a loved one or I'm rude to somebody. Those are the things that I think have much more to do with who I am as a person and my value system rather than archaic like sentiments about modesty and sexual purity. I also didn't say that it's impossible for sexually explicit content to cause harm. That's not what I said. I think like alcohol and donuts and all these other things have the capacity to produce harm in a small minority of people, but I don't think as a whole they should be outlawed or that the thing itself is evil. I think with porn, the way that people like ostracize and demonize porn and porn stars, it's not because of the actual thing, it's because they have other moral incongruence and it violates their religious norms or their whatever beliefs, and that's why they attack that. I think you're the one being intellectually dishonest because a lot of the excuses you told me, oh, your parents, you just don't want to disappoint your parents. I'm like, well, what if it disappointed my, no, let me finish. I let you finish, we're at the end. But if I told you my parents would be disappointed if I married somebody outside of my race, I'm not saying my parents would, you're like, oh, well then that doesn't count. Or you go, oh, what about the children? I'm like, okay, what if we got it away from all the children? No, I still don't like it. So you're the one being intellectually dishonest because all of the issues you have pointed at about porn seem that even if we fix that or if we use a different example, you still have an issue with it. I just think you don't like it. You feel like it hurts your feelings, whatever it is.
No, it doesn't
you
hurt
just
my
like
feelings.
it too much, maybe.
I'm just talking about the effects that it has on society. I mean, whether I like it or not.
All right, what are these horrible effects on
society?
I mean, since the proliferation of porn, what exactly has been the negative impact on society? Like, tell me.
Talking about porn?
Yeah, because if you look at like, it's not like it's causing more violence.
You don't think it's caused relationships to be ruined? Marriages to be broken up?
What do you mean? Like
children to go
I don't think that's been a big reason that a lot of relationships have been ruined. I haven't seen any evidence
You
for that.
really don't believe that pornography can affect a relationship?
I'm not saying it can't affect a relationship. I'm saying the dissolution of many relationships.
Does your partner look at other people's pornography?
I wouldn't mind if he did. That's my point. There's a lot of relationships. No.
You wouldn't?
No.
Well, you are a whore.
There are some people who don't care. That's my point. I don't think anyone should violate the boundaries of a relationship, and it's up to the two people to create those boundaries. But I don't think society's job to enforce that by making nothing available to them, right? Alcohol is something that destroys a lot more relationships.
I think it's funny that they keep comparing porn to alcohol. Alcohol
because
is
you
one of
don't
the
want
most
to ban
deadly substances.
alcohol.
It's actually more deadly than fentanyl. So that's where you put your job.
No,
into
that's
a
exactly my
of
point. Is that I
alcohol.
find that a lot of people are inconsistent with this, right? Oh, it destroys relationships. Oh, it can get into the hands of children. Then why don't you feel the same way? Why are you not here having a debate on what alcohol should be banned? Or
alcohol is banned for children.
Yeah, so is porn.
listen.
You can access it just like you can access, but that's my point, is how come you're not consistent on this?
It's easier to find porn than it is to get alcohol.
Not really.
Yes, it is.
I don't know.
You can go, anybody can have a Twitter account and search your name. With alcohol, you need a fake ID, you need somebody else to get it for you. So yes,
I'm sorry, do you think college kids under 21 have an issue getting alcohol?
So you're telling me you think it's easier to get alcohol as an underage person than it is to find a picture on the internet?
I think both are pretty easy.
Okay, well.
And with that, we'll go to the Q&A. Not sure if I should be concerned or not.
Mm-hmm.
All right, first question.
And I'm going to start with the end, and then I'm going to speak to Jasmine. I'm a teacher in the greater New York, New Jersey area. I've had fourth grade students come up to me and, and say amongst their friends, if this doesn't work out, at least I can do OnlyFans. My question is, what would you say to that fourth grader? And I feel that it's because there is a need to be perfect. Our society has pushed women to be perfect. And not just East, not just West, it's been Eastern society as well. Also, you can see it at the men. You can see there's a lot of social, emotional, and economic reasons that we all infinitely and emotionally regress into going into, right? But at the end of the day, it may not, it may not be bad, and you said it may not be bad, but it's not. Song of Solomon, right? We have the examples. When we do it in a healthy way, it leads to healthy results. So what would you say to that fourth grader?
I would say that that's something that you should think about way later. Just like if a fourth grader told me I want to be a famous YouTuber, I want to be Mr. Beast, I'd probably say have a backup plan, because it's probably not the best route it's not the best trajectory for you to plan from being a fourth grader, that you should be a famous YouTuber, or that you should do OnlyFans, or that you should open up a bar, or any of these things. That's what I would say.
Well, real quick, it's funny you brought up a bar and you brought up YouTube. A fourth grader can make a YouTube channel. There are fourth graders, but
I know, but I'm saying that there is a lot of young kids who want to do things that they don't understand the realities of it, right? I want to be in the NBA. I would tell the same thing to them. I'd say, okay, I get that's your dream, or that you think this is going to be easy, or that it's glamorized in a certain way, but that's not the way it is, and So
you would say it's bad, don't do it, basically.
I wouldn't say it's bad, don't do it, but I would say this is not a decision you should be trying to make right now.
Okay.
Hey guys, I think Jasmine's actually the best person at defending this position of anybody that I've ever seen try to defend this position. She actually has some pretty good arguments. Alex brings the entertainment factor, as always. Very good job. I think there's another aspect of this debate when we're talking about what's good or bad for society that we don't usually address, which is that just like we don't want most men aspiring to be pornographers or pimps or drug dealers, how do we feel about low birth rates and motherhood being very denigrated, pushing women towards, or not even pushing them, but kind of making it popular and cool and glamorous to be in pornography now for women? How that affects motherhood, and when we're talking about societal cohesion and what's good and bad for society, we can't just be hedonistic and thinking about what we want to do and what we like to do with our life, but this greater good for society aspect. So how do we feel about that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So birth rates are a really complex thing. Decision making on an individual level is hardly like, I'm going to have kids to help greater society. We can see that economic development is the number one reason that a bunch of countries, like my parents' country, Iran, has lower birth rates, not because it's overrun by feminism and sex work. South Korea has banned porn in 2009, and their birth rates are like, I think, a third of what ours is. This is a worldwide thing, an issue, as we've moved away from agricultural societies and we've moved to rapid economic development and industrialization. We have seen this issue. The only countries, I think besides Israel, that their birth rates are at replacement levels are countries where like they make an average of $5,000 a year, US dollars. Like this is a much bigger thing, and I think that just saying, it's feminism, or it's sex work, or it's because people are glamorized, there's people that are just can't wait to go do OnlyFans, which is like 1% of women, that this is something that could actually impact birth rates when we're seeing it in a multitude of cultures. I think in Hong Kong, every child that's born is born into a nuclear family. They just don't want kids, and how to address that is difficult. I mean, I used to be one of those people, if we just do pro-family policies, but then I'm seeing that's not even working in a lot of countries. So it is a complex issue, but I don't think that we should just pick the thing that we don't like and say this is what's causing it. I don't think that's very intellectually honest.
All right, just real quick, Rachel, I agree with your question or what you're trying to insinuate, and I know you didn't agree with me, Jasmine, but I did pull it up that there is a thing called porn-induced erectile dysfunction. Some research suggests that excessive pornography use will lead to erectile dysfunction, particularly in younger men. And the idea is you get desensitized and you have conditioned arousal, which you need certain things to stimulate you compared to real life and fake, porn that you're watching. So my point is, because of the erectile dysfunction that it's causing, less babies are going to be born. So
the number one predictor of erectile dysfunction is actually anxiety, and there was a whole study they did, like no-fap communities actually are causing more of it, or that's very concentrated in that. Again, there's a lot of comorbidities also with these kinds of issues, high anxiety, depression, like these little incel communities that like fester on the internet. We're not seeing this you're telling me that erectile dysfunction is why there's low birth rates? You're going to need to give me a much stronger link than that.
You don't think having a broken penis would make you have less babies?
No, I'm saying that that's not enough of a widespread issue at all to explain why the birth rates are going down in every culture and every society that's that's economically doing well.
Will you agree with me on this? When you watch porn, does it desensitize you? Like the first time you saw porn?
It can.
Yeah. Okay.
It can. It doesn't always, right? There was a study done in Denmark.
So
Nicole Prause at UCLA, who's a neuroscientist, is a great resource for this. There's a study done in Denmark where they see that what typically happens is people watch porn and then they start seeing different things and they get like interested. Oh, maybe I'll watch this. But then after a couple years, their preferences actually go back to what they originally were. So there's a lot of, we're researching this and we're seeing what's happening along the way. But my problem is anti-porn people, they don't care about any of this. You guys just don't like it because it's immoral to you.
No, it is immoral, but you do get desensitized. There's a reason when you're younger and you look at a pair of boobs and,
So do you think banning video games is smart because it desensitizes you to violence if you're playing Call of Duty? Like, this is not, we don't have strong enough links for this. And this is why the DSM-5...
You don't think there's strong enough links to
I can
porn
actually,
and
you know what? I will
desensitization?
read you the statement that the DSM-5 said as to why they will not add this. They said, in addition to substance-related disorders, this chapter also includes gambling disorder, reflecting evidence that gambling behaviors activate reward systems similar to those activated by drugs of abuse and produce some behavioral symptoms that appear comparable to those produced by substance disorders. Other excessive behavioral patterns, such as internet gaming, have also been described, but the research on these and other behavioral syndromes is less clear. Thus, groups of repetitive behaviors, which some term behavioral addictions, with such subcategories as sex addiction, exercise addiction, or shopping addiction, are not included because at this time there is insufficient peer-reviewed evidence to establish the diagnostic criteria and course descriptions needed to identify these behaviors as mental disorders. Excessive use of internet and not involving playing of online games, so excessive use of social media, Facebook, viewing pornography online, is not considered analogous to internet gaming disorder. So they're even saying that even gaming has more. And I'm not saying that you should sit on and scroll on social media all day, but I just feel like you see a lot of these anti-porn people compare this to like drug addiction, fentanyl.
It is like drug addiction. It is. It's the same.
It's not though. Scientifically, it's just not. Scientifically, it does not do the same thing in the brain.
I
Okay,
hate to
sorry.
cut that great discussion off. We do have quite a few questions here, though. I don't think we'll resolve that.
No worries.
Jasmine, I appreciate what you said in the debate when you said you're all for all we can do to keep it away from kids. That's commendable. Thank you. So hypothetically, if I created a newer and safer website, let's call it like thecrystal.com, and on this site, we could somehow guarantee that 0 kids will ever get access, but you only make 50% of what you make from OnlyFans, would you, as we say, get in on the crystal or get in the crystal?
I would probably join it, but I'm not going to get off OnlyFans either. I don't think that, I actually think OnlyFans is probably one of the best porn sites to keep it away from children because you need a card to get in.
This is a question for Jasmine. If everyone were to stop watching pornography, would society be a better or worse place?
Maybe better. It's just like if everyone stopped having Taco Bell.
There you go.
Follow up. How have you not conceded the debate then?
No, because I don't think that's realistic. I don't want to live in I'm sorry, we don't live in a euphoria. This is the same thing with divorce, right? It would be great if every time a couple got together, they never broke up and there was never any pain, there was never child abuse, there was never a sex drive. Maybe that would be better, but that's not the society we're living in.
The debate prompt is if OnlyFans is bad for society, And
No,
you just
but
said
this
it
is
was bad
this
for
is
society.
exactly my point. Is that's why I use the examples of fast food and stuff as well. I don't think that it's not good. Are potato chips good for you? Would it be better if no one ever had potato chips? Maybe if we look at overall harm, because potato chips have really bad consequences for some people, and it doesn't have anything comparable to that that's yielding excellent results. It's not making people smarter. It's not making people more fulfilled. But do we want a society where we outlaw those things, or we don't have those things to enjoy in moderation? No. And I don't think it's realistic to have a society where everyone drops their sex drive.
For Jasmine, my question assumes that you agree that an individual can get to a point where they have an unhealthy relationship with sexual content. So it starts taking up too much of their time and distracts them from responsibilities and more productive things. My question is if you believe there is a level in which a society as a whole could have a similar balance problem, and if so, like how could we measure that and know?
Like what do you mean? Like as a society as a whole,
Like in an individual life, it starts taking up too much of their time,
Uh-huh.
and they can't focus on their job, make money. And if there's a level in which society, there's too many people in the economy of making sexual content, and it's starting to be an opportunity cost for more productive.
Yeah, I think that that's my whole point. If people can start showing me concrete harms, I'm not saying we should ban it or that we should then deem it immoral. And that's a big issue I have. But like with alcohol, right? We're like, okay, you have to be over 21. You need to have like a license, right? And even with porn in the First Amendment, having time, place, manner restrictions on this kind of content is okay. I'm not saying that people should just be able to log into their Gmail account and see porn. That's not what I'm trying to say. But I think that usually what I hear from other people is not how do we restrict this? How do we make it safer for the creators and for the consumers? It's yucky. It's bad. I don't like it. And that's kind of what I hear.
Well, just real quick, because I know you're going to get to, we have more questions, but I just think this is what's also wrong with society is that, and except for in Nevada, prostitution is illegal. It's a crime. But if I want to film myself having sex with you, I can pay you for that sex. So because we're making pornography, all of a sudden it becomes a First Amendment issue, which is laughable. So that's why
I think that it should be legal to do in-person prostitution too. So I agree. I just would go the other way.
Well, I'm just
right.
saying,
And
it
again,
just
if
shows you
if I saw that porn was like killing 75% of the people that watch it, then yes, I would. There are some harms that I think are so great, like fentanyl, that we should outlaw. But you guys have not demonstrated to me that porn does have this level of harm at all.
I mean, you really don't think that it has any harm
I
whatsoever?
didn't say, this is the thing.
Okay.
When I say
Okay.
this
but
level of harm.
you don't think it has a lot of harm, though? You don't think it harms the people that do it?
No, I don't think it has a lot of harm, no.
What about, like, let's not even take an OnlyFans. What about, like, people that, I guess we can go back, like, 10 years, the exploitative nature of, and there's a great documentary called Hot Girls Wanted. And in that documentary, it talks about how much these girls are exploited in the pornography industry.
Yeah, but that's what the documentary went to do. If you were to interview the same amount of women on the other side, you could find just as many. If you're anti-porn, you're going to find a lot of
that's not
ex-porn
true.
stars.
What's the average career length for a porn star?
What's the average career length for the NBA? Like, why are you guys
it's
not
less
under
than a
an
month.
NBA?
It's harder to make the NBA than it is to spread your butthole. I'm sorry, they're totally different.
All right,
So
with
because
that,
it's
we
harder,
are on
is
a
it?
little bit of a time
sorry.
schedule here. Unfortunately, this will be our last question, so we can get the lunch. I do
what?
apologize to those of you in line, but due to lunch requirements, this will be our last question, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry. The last question. So my question is to you, brother. I wanted to engage what. I wanted to engage what Jasmine was saying. She was saying that, we have a lot of problems in the world. There's a lot of difficulties. There's a lot of traumas and pains. So we are kind of interested in harm reduction. So you were bringing up kind of like the traditional pornography space where there's lots of exploitation. Mm-hmm. So what I understood from what Jasmine was saying, I'm not an expert on OnlyFans. I don't really know much about it, but the idea is that OnlyFans is sort of like private. It's like these folks just make private content and then they're kind of their own business owners. They're not really going into the spaces of like STDs. Like they're not going to be in these places where there's high risk, right? Mm-hmm. So in this space where there's lots of pornography and lots of exploitation, would you see that like OnlyFans would be kind of a space of more harm reduction than like the kind of traditional pornography route where people are being exploited?
Well, that's a good question, but I think the amount of harm is the same because, like, when you talk about sex, you saw that Lily Phillips girl who has one of the most famous OnlyFans had sex with 1,000 different guys, so there's probably harm. I'm sure her vagina was harmed through that. But yeah, I mean, I guess in the sense that is it better that creators like Jasmine can own their own content? Yeah, as a creator, yeah. I mean, but I don't think that changes the level of harm that she's causing society. But yes, financially, she's getting exploited less, but she's still getting exploited a little bit. She still has a pimp. It's just called OnlyFans, and they still take money from her. So, you know, it is what it is. She's still being exploited by OnlyFans, just in a way that's not as harmful as traditional pornography companies.
So to
like
clarify,
Vivid.
you think OnlyFans is less harmful than mainstream porn?
I think they're both harmful, but I would say that
Less. Which one's less?
No, actually, I would say they're equally harmful because now OnlyFans, you can do it easier. It was almost harder to do it the other way because most girls didn't have access to cameras or know how to edit or put it out. So now more girls are figuring out how to do that because of these apps on our phone. So actually, I would say they're equally harmful.
Even though they're
society.
not being exploited because they're doing it themselves. So it's about the amount, or is it about the level of exploitation?
Well, there's going to be more porn because there's more girls doing it, more young girls that are getting.
So you're
harmed
saying
by
the
it.
amount
I'm
outweighs
saying they're equally.
the
How about
exploitation.
this? They're equally harmful whether you do it or not. But I am happy that you get to keep most of your money, even though you do have to pay 30% to
20.
20%. You have a 20% pimp, is what you have.
So is YouTube pimping you? Okay, sorry.
Well,
Yeah, but I don't show my
both.
butthole on. I mean, that's totally different. I make a podcast. I mean, it's different.
And with
than-
that, I'll go ahead and say thank you to both of you for this most excellent debate here. A round of applause. And so we don't forget this time, we'll go ahead and have that poll one more time. For those who think that Jasmine did a good job convincing you that OnlyFans is not harmful, raise your hand, please, and keep it up so I can get the count. Okay. And if Alex convinced you? All righty. And just since I have the numbers right here, it started with Jasmine at 12, Alex at 15. Jasmine, you maintained 12 throughout that. Alex, you gained 2 votes.
Well, I won. And Jasmine's a nice person. Thank you, Jasmine.
Thank you.
I appreciate you having this discussion. Thank you.
Yeah,
Amina.
you as well.
And with that being stated, we will break for lunch now until 1:30. If you are a speaker or VIP, you can meet me up here. I'll tell you where to go for our lunch. Everybody else, there is an excellent restaurant out there, Ted's. Or you can head off. We will kick it off again at 1:30.